Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I have two Irish whiskeys. This is Michael Collins, introduced in 2006, 2006. It's a double distilled, which is unusual. Most are triple distilled, but it's a double distilled Irish produced at Cooley Distillery for Sidney Frank Company. But so if you look up the website that they list on the back here, nothing comes up. It's a dead link because the reason is Sidney Frank died and his company was shut down and all the assets were sold. They used to own Grey Goose. That was sold to, I don't know who owns it now. And Sazerac picked up the rights to Michael Collins. Now they still make a Michael Collins, but Sazerac has a version called Michael Collins The Prediction, which I've seen on their website. I don't recall seeing it at a store, although I may have overlooked it. They might still make this because Sazerac's kind of an unusual company themselves. They produce a lot of products that they don't list. They claim on their website they have over 400 brands of liquor and liqueurs. So, I mean, you might go to a liquor store and see a fresh bottle from 2024. I doubt it, but you might. This one is from 2011. I bought this at International Market. They still have it in stock, though, in Metairie, Louisiana. If you're close to that store, they had it was on the shelf when I was there this week, and it was still the same price, $23.99, $23.99. And they had that two gingers for $14.49. Good deal, huh? Now here's the Busker. This was only introduced in 2020, so we're only talking about 4 years ago at the wrong time, right? Because you know what happened right when 2020 started. So that pretty much wrecked all their promotional events. This bottle runs over $40. It's a single grain Irish whiskey. It's over $40, but I got it for 10. Shockingly, $10 even at Walmart, because I think what happened was they introduced it and everything got thrown off track and their sales weren't there because nobody knew what it was. And maybe they saw it was kind of pricey. So Walmart decided to close it out, to get rid of this one and their regular triple distilled green label. And I was just in there when definitely wasn't looking for this. And I saw it. I said, $10. Oh yeah. I said, I'll check it out. So I bought both. No big deal, right? So can't show you a website for Michael Collins because none exists. But yeah, for the prediction, yes. But we're not talking about the prediction today. And that's a triple distilled one, the prediction. Oh, good. It sounded like the newspaper was thrown. I was waiting for that. Here we go. Make sure I got my labels double checked. Got distracted by it. Yeah. Newspaper lady. All right. Could hear her driving up. I can always tell it's her because you'll hear a car driving and you'll hear it backing up and leaving. Plus, I know what the vehicle sounds like. All right. 40% alcohol, 44.3. I think I put 44.3. Yeah, that's right. No age statement for either one of these. The Michael Collins is amber, and this one is straw. This is like a straw yellow, like if you were in a barn and saw hay or straw. So clearly not colored. No color added. Do they say non-chill filtered or anything on there like that? No, it just says Royal Oak Distillery. Beautiful, sweet finish that lasts. That's all. It's finished and it's aged in ex-bourbon barrels from who knows where, and then, well, America, obviously, and then finished in marsala barrels from Italy. That's a type of wine. So that's supposed to give it unusual flavor. So there's the new bottle. They've updated the bottle for this one. You see that. It's called the Single Collection. Royal Oak Distilleries. Now they got this embossed bottle. Price probably even more. Still got that kind of oxblood color, red, dark red, showing a rocks glass. At Royal Oak, the art of crafting the Busker Single Grain blend tradition with innovation. We handpick the finest spirits, naturally, and mature carefully selected bourbon casks from the USA and rare marsala casks from Italy's historic Cantine Florio 1833 distillery. The result is a delicate, pale, straw-hued whiskey with rich layers of sweet caramel, vanilla, and oak. Each sip reveals a subtle hay-like essence. Now, I was saying straw, and culminates in a satisfying, lingering sweetness. Last year, my daughter and her friend tried it with me, and they didn't care for it too much. These photos, though, isn't it? Doesn't it have? All right, you can see it's won some recent awards. Silver, and a Best Buy 2 years ago. There's a guy pouring a bunch of it in a rocks glass. Wow, that's generous pour, right? A little bit much. But anyway, then they talk about the distillery, which on tours there. They did it first, then I don't know what happened. So it's a production only facility for like tourism, but I don't know. I don't know the story on that. There's the copper pot. So these distilling companies are clever. They'll make a triple distilled whiskey, grain whiskey, copper pot still whiskey, and single malt whiskey, blend it together, make a product. But then they'll take the pieces of that and sell them separately as its own product. That's to get more mileage out of the same product. They're taking the same product and taking the pieces and sell them for an upcharge. I'm not passing judgment on that. I'm just talking about it. John Schmidt says, my grandmother in the hospital from a fall suffered from a broken hip. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. And every morning I pray for anybody that's sick or injured. I hope they get better. You know, that's a very common cause of serious health problems with elderly people falling. I think it's the number one problem. That happened to my grandmother. Fell and broke her arm at the retirement home, and then she had a heart attack. But they say actually they think the heart attack made her have the fall. You see, but she recovered for a little while. She was very old. She died when she was 95. So she wasn't young. Her sister's still alive. Her younger sister, born in 1925. So she's 99. Okay. I can remember when she was in her 40s, going to visit, and she's cooking in the kitchen, and like 44 years old, something like that, 45 years old. It was amazing. Time, like the Rolling Stones said, time waits for no one, and it won't wait for me. It won't wait for you either. Not a lot of aroma there. Maybe more aroma here, but it's got that grain, like corn. What grain is it? They don't really say on their website, kind of evasive on that, but most people will tell you that it's maize, as they say in Europe, or corn, as we say, yellow corn. Common grain seems to work well with liquor. So, after all, what's so popular? Bourbon, right? What's bourbon? Mostly corn. Has to be. My uncle told me that one time. Bourbon's really just corn whiskey. That was years ago. I said, really? He said, yeah. Well, he's right. It is majority corn whiskey. Could be 100% if they choose to make it that way. It's up to the distiller. There's no law on how much corn, except that there's a minimum. It has to be at least 51%. The other 49%, that's totally up to the distiller. It can go from 51 up to 100. And that's why bourbons are so can be so varied because there's so many ratios you can make. And the same with Irish whiskey, Scotch whiskey, Canadian. You know, there's a wide range of possibilities. He said, "What about beer?" Well, yeah, same thing. All right, taste and wine, of course. Oh well, I have my eyes closed because if I look down and see that pale color, I'm gonna know what it is. That seems to have that touch of peat. It's not a peaty product, but there's like a wisp of it. And Irish whiskey is sometimes peaty. Generally, no, but it could be. It's not a law. There's no kind of rule involved. Scotch whiskey tends to be peaty. Sometimes it is not peaty, though. Once again, there's no rule. That's a style. That's not a law. But some people got this mindset that it is. So if you think, oh, Scotch whiskey got to be peaty, wrong. Now, the law says it has to have the aroma and flavor generally associated with Scotch, but, you know, Scotch whiskey, what does that really mean? Same thing with Irish whiskey and American whiskey. You read the read the regulations for American whiskey. It says must have the aroma and flavor generally associated with American whiskey. Now, or just says whiskey, actually. So if it had the flavor of rum and the aroma of rum, well, then it would be disqualified as a whiskey. Wouldn't matter, though. They would just call it a distilled spirit specialty. That's all they would say. Oh, we just registered as a DSS, distilled spirit specialty. And that's all they would do. And then they would sell it on the shelf as whiskey with rum character. Now, that would be bizarre, and I don't know who would buy it, but probably somebody would. Ooh, okay, you got a Camaro. That's great. We get it. Oh, yeah. Haha. Corn. Sweet corn. Alcohol, high alcohol, relatively high. Well, 44.3%. It's not super high, but it ain't weak. I guess some whiskey people would say that's weak, man. Anything under 100 proof is weak. That's for babies, children, weaklings. Okay, I'm a weakling. Good. I don't think it's as good as they claim. It tastes like it's a piece of something, and it is. It's like an incomplete thing. Do I regret buying it? Well, considering I don't really like it too much, I guess I regret it. But taking into account that I only paid $10, is no big loss. But if I see any other single grains, I probably won't buy them. I know they got Hague Club. People talk about Hague Club's a single grain Scotch, I believe. Yeah, Scotch. But I just think I'm not going to be interested. I just think I'm not going to like it. Single malt, I've got a lot of those. Got bottles of single malt Scotch, no Irish single malt. They do make it. The Sexton is a single malt Irish. But I'll do the single malt Irish, but the single grain, not appealing to me. Okay, from my first try. I'm gonna say this is the Michael Collins, and it's way cheaper, half the price, and it tastes. It's half the price, and it tastes a lot better. So there, it's the clear and present winner. Got it. Got it. So everything more expensive is not better. I mean, generally that's true, but that's not always true, not in my opinion. Okay, now comments. Burley Sullivan says, you. Hey, Burley, cheers back to you. My grandmother is in her early 80s or late 70s. Are you not sure of age? Well, that's getting up there, right? Oh. Pretty sure she's 80. Okay. I remember when people born in 1944 were in their 20s. I remember asking somebody, how old are you? He said, I'm 28. This is a person born in 1944. I can remember walking. I remember where I was walking. And I remember asking him, how old are you? And he said, I'm 28. Like I said, time flies. I remember a lady telling me, she was born in 1947, telling me, I'm going to be 24. You know, she's telling me, my birthday's coming. I'm going to be 24. All right. Okay. It's all a matter of perspective. I remember when the Vietnam veterans were in their 20s, they were the young guys. Now they're elderly. Okay. Anyhow, I remember when Canada got its own constitution in 1982. It seemed like that was like, it was just on CBS News, kind of like one of the lead stories that day. And in Ottawa, Canada, you know, Dan Rather saying, Canada, Queen Elizabeth signs this document, this proclamation giving Canada its own constitution. So, but now that's 42 years ago. That's like way in the past. But I remember when it was like way that day. I remember the Falkland Islands War, the same later that year. That was like so new, but now it's so old. I'm 30, born in 1994. See what I mean? Okay. So that brings us to the end. I'm going to give the victory to Michael Collins. Now you say, yeah, but that's personal preference. That's personal preference. Okay. I understand. And it's always going to be that, obviously, because you're tasting it. So it can't be totally objective because there's no such thing as a definitive answer of what tastes the best. You cannot, that's impossible. And it's ludicrous. It makes no sense. You know, I could say Pliny the Elder is the best IPA in the world. But what I mean is Pliny the Elder is the best IPA in the world according to what I'm tasting. Other people will say, oh, give me a break. It's not even that good. So it's just a hyped product. It's heady topper, man. That's where it is. Focal banger, that's where it's at. Well, I've had both of those. They were nice, but to me, they were not even close. Well, they were close, but they weren't, they couldn't measure up to Pliny the Elder. But that's opinions. Some people have trouble with fact versus opinion. When I was in high school, they would make us take tests, you know, those end of the year tests, you know, those evaluation tests where they try to evaluate how the schools are doing overall relative to other schools. And they had logical questions. A lot of it was based on logic. And they had a section in the test, fact versus opinion. And it would give you a statement. And you had to determine if that statement was a fact or if it was someone's opinion. And I've noticed a lot of people cannot get around that. You know, like on social media, you say, well, like politics. Okay, there's a great example, politics. I like this candidate. Oh, I like that candidate. Okay, fine. People have choices, right? But in their thinking, and I know some people like this, left wing or right wing or middle wing, their thinking is like, well, since I like this candidate, these are all the facts. But then they'll tell you a bunch of things that are simply opinions. It's like, but that's not a fact. That's just your opinion. You're getting angry because somebody doesn't agree with what you call facts, but you're just giving opinions. And people would be so volatile about politics. It's amazing. Some kind of insecurity issue or maybe an intelligence issue or something's wrong. Clearly. Because they'll watch my videos, be like, oh, let's be friends on Facebook. Friends, you know, I don't know the people, but okay, common interests, obviously, beer, wine, liquor brought us together. And they're all like, rah, 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 I love your channel. It's awesome. And then I'll talk about politics. Oh, I don't like you anymore. That's like a sickness, you know. But you have to be aware of it. You have to have some self-awareness. If you don't have it, then you can't realize it. And then just everything would be confirmation bias. But I only will look at stuff that agrees with me. But that's confirmation bias. In other words, you only entertain ideas that will bolster your biases. That's not an open-minded approach. All right. Well, this stuff's fine. It is sweet, like they say. Whiskey to me is sweet. I don't mind it. I don't even hate it. And in fact, I sort of like it. But it would definitely not be my preference. I'm just telling you, this would be the last whiskey in my house that I would drink. I just don't like that single grain approach. Something about it just doesn't appeal to me. But you might love that, and that's fine, and that's cool. Is it well made? Yeah, it's well made. It's probably the way it's supposed to be. I just don't like the way it is, you know. No, I mean. So Michael Collins is certainly distinct, and I haven't gotten it wrong one time yet. It stands out for good or ill. That's up to the drinker, but it's certainly not like the rest. So I got a few more Irish whiskeys to bring in. Then it'll be off to Scotland, across the Irish Sea over to Scotland. All right, y'all take care now. Bye-bye. Have a great Saturday.